I offered to pay for their mortgage after my son lost his job. 3 months later, I missed one payment while recovering from surgery. He called me a leech and threw my belongings on the lawn. My own son said, "Don't come back until you're useful again." I sat in my car, shaking. Then I remembered something he'd forgotten. I never thought I'd be writing something like this. I've always believed in keeping family business private. But after what my own son did to me, I need to get this off my chest. Maybe if I write it all out, I'll stop waking up in a cold sweat remembering how it felt when he threw my things on the lawn like I was nothing. Evan was always the golden boy. Smart, focused, the kind of kid teachers loved. He got a full ride to UC Davis, met a nice girl named Brianna, and after graduation, they moved to San Jose for his job in tech. I was proud of him. Really proud. His dad died of pancreatic cancer 5 years ago, and I remember thinking, at least Evan's doing well. At least I did one thing right. When he called me that night 3 years ago now, he sounded broken. Said his startup just folded, completely out of nowhere. Severance was a joke. They had a 2-year-old son, Max, and a mortgage bigger than anything I'd ever paid. I could hear the panic in his voice. "I don't know what we're going to do," he said. "We might have to move in with you." I didn't even think twice. I told him I'd help with the mortgage. "Just until you find something new," I said. He hesitated. "Are you sure, Mom?" Of course I was sure. I told him to send me the payment info. That first month was $3,120. I paid it without blinking. I have 2 small rentals in Modesto that bring an income, and between that and my pension, I was fine. I just thought it'd be for a month or 2, maybe 3. He didn't find a new job right away. The market was tough, and Brianna only worked part-time. So I kept paying. Every single month. They invited me to stay weekends sometimes, especially when they needed help with Max. I'd bring groceries, cook big meals, fix stuff around the house. I was just glad to feel useful. But after the 6th or 7th month, something started to shift. Brianna didn't smile as much when I walked in. Evan stopped saying thank you. They both got quiet when I brought up money. Then came the new car. A brand new white SUV with a temporary tag in the back window. I saw it in the driveway one Saturday morning. "Did you finally get something?" I asked Evan. He shrugged. "Yeah, I started last month. Nothing big." He'd been working for 4 weeks and hadn't told me. That night, I lay in the guest room and stared at the ceiling, wondering what else they were keeping from me. I waited a few more weeks before asking if they could take over the mortgage again. Evan looked uncomfortable. "Can we talk about it in a couple months?" he said. "We just have so many other bills right now." So I kept paying. Month after month. No offer to repay. Not even a card. I started wondering if they even realized how much I'd shelled out. Over $40,000 at that point. Then came the surgery. My hip had been bad for years. The pain got to the point where I could barely walk across the kitchen. The doctor said it was time. Surgery went fine. But the recovery? It wrecked me. I was alone in my house with a walker and painkillers that made me groggy and confused. I forgot to pay the mortgage for January. First time I'd ever missed one. I realized it about 4 days after the due date. I texted Evan right away. Told him I was so sorry, explained the situation, promised to cover it with February's. No response. I tried calling the next day. Straight to voicemail. I thought maybe he was busy. I drove to San Jose that Saturday, even though I shouldn't have been driving yet. I just wanted to see them, to hold my grandson, and feel like someone still needed me. Evan opened the door with this look, like I was a stranger selling something. "You can't just show up unannounced," he said. I was stunned. I just wanted to see Max.
He didn't let me in.
Instead, he pointed to the front lawn. My things, my overnight bag, my toothbrush, a pair of shoes, even my favorite knitting bag, were piled in the grass like garbage. I asked him what was going on. He crossed his arms. "You said you'd help. But you're not helping anymore. You're becoming a leech, Mom. You missed a payment, and now you expect us to carry you?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I paid your mortgage for over a year," I said. "I gave up my travel plans. I didn't even buy myself a new coat." He cut me off. "Don't come back until you're useful again." And with that, he shut the door. I sat in my car for I don't know how long. Couldn't drive. Couldn't cry. I felt this deep, hot shame in my chest, like I'd been slapped in public. I thought about everything I'd sacrificed, about how my own son saw me as disposable. Then I remembered something. The house. It wasn't legally his. When the bank denied him the refinance 3 years ago, we'd moved the loan into my name. I refinanced it under my credit. He signed a quitclaim deed, so the deal would go through. The house, legally, belonged to me. He'd forgotten that. But I hadn't. And I wasn't going to let it go. The next morning, I dug out the folder from my safe. Inside were the original refinance documents, dated and signed. Mortgage statements. The quitclaim deed. All of it clean and legal. Evan had needed me back then. And now he wanted to erase that fact from his life. I drove to a title attorney in Modesto the next day. Her name was Carol, mid-50s, sharp eyes, no nonsense. I laid out the paperwork, careful to keep my emotions in check. She flipped through the stack, nodding as she read. "You're the legal owner," she said. "And you've been making the payments?"
"Every one of them," I said.
"Except January." She raised an eyebrow. "You know you could evict them." I didn't answer right away. Just sat there, holding that idea in my hands. It felt ugly, but also fair. "I'm not trying to hurt my grandson," I said finally. "But I'm done being treated like garbage." Carol nodded slowly. "Well, you don't have to evict him outright. But if you want control again, we can start with a notice. See how he reacts." I gave her the green light. That week, Evan got a letter by certified mail. A formal notice. The owner of the property was terminating any verbal agreements. He had 30 days to either vacate or begin paying rent directly to me. I didn't get a call. Instead, Brianna texted me. "What is this? You're evicting us? After everything?" I ignored it. 3 days later, Evan showed up at my house. Didn't even knock, just stormed in. I was in the kitchen, icing my hip. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" he barked. "I'm exercising my rights," I said calmly. He paced the living room like a caged dog. "You're out of your mind. You said it was our house." "No," I said. "I said I'd help."
I did.
For over a year. "You're doing this out of spite." I stood up slowly. My legs still hurt like hell, but I needed him to see I wasn't weak. "You called me a leech. You threw my things on the lawn. And you told me not to come back until I was useful. So now I am." He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Maybe he didn't. "Max lives there," he said finally. "You're really going to kick your grandson out?" "I'm giving you a choice," I said. "Pay rent. Or move." He stormed out. A week passed. Then another. I got a notice from the city. Apparently Evan had filed a complaint, claiming I was harassing him. I sent in all the legal documents.
Case dismissed.
He started telling people in the family that I was losing my mind, that I'd tricked him into signing over the house. My younger sister called and asked if I was okay. I told her the truth.
She didn't know what to say.
Meanwhile, I got a property manager involved. Sent a second notice. Evan responded with a lawyer's letter full of nonsense, accusing me of emotional abuse, claiming I owed him repayment for improvements to the home. I had receipts that said otherwise.
They were scared now.
But they were also stubborn. Then something changed. Late one night, I got a voicemail from Brianna. Her voice was shaky. "Please, can we talk? Just us? I don't want Max to lose his home." I didn't respond right away. I needed to think. Really think. What did I want here? Did I want revenge or justice? Or maybe by now they were the same thing. I met Brianna at a coffee shop in Campbell. Neutral ground.
Public.
Safe. She looked exhausted. No makeup. Dark circles, hair in a messy bun. She stirred her coffee for 5 straight minutes before she spoke. "Evan hasn't been the same since he lost that job," she said finally. "He's angry all the time. Paranoid. He thinks everyone's out to humiliate him." I just listened. She kept going. "He told me the house was ours. I didn't know he signed it over. He said you were helping because you owed him for not putting you in a home. That one hit me hard. But I kept my face still.
She leaned in.
I'm not defending what he did to you. Throwing your things out like that, it was disgusting. I told him so. But please, don't make Max suffer for it. Let's work something out. That's when I asked the question I'd been waiting on. Do you even want to stay with him? She didn't answer. Her eyes got glassy. Then she pulled out a folder from her tote. Bank statements. Screenshots of Evan's credit card bills, designer clothes, fancy dinners, a $600 watch. Not for her. For someone else.
He's been cheating, she said.
I hired someone last month. I have proof. I'm filing next week. That shifted everything. I asked her one more thing. Would you be willing to move out? Just you and Max? I'll make sure you're stable. But I need that house back.
She didn't hesitate.
2 weeks later, she was gone. Moved into a rental I owned in Modesto. Cheap rent, safe neighborhood, close to a good daycare. I gave her 6 months free. When Evan came home that Friday night and found the house half empty, he lost it. He called me screaming. I didn't answer. Monday morning, my lawyer filed a formal eviction. He tried to fight it. Filed another complaint. Claimed emotional distress. His lawyer backed out when he realized the paperwork was airtight. I got the house back 2 months later. Empty.
Dirty.
The carpets were stained. Holes in the walls.
A smashed cabinet.
The place looked like someone had thrown a tantrum in every room. I documented everything. Took pictures. Filed a small claims suit. 3 weeks later, Evan was served with court papers for damages, unpaid use of the property, and a portion of the mortgage from the past year. It was over $18,000. He didn't show up for the first court date. The judge issued a default judgment in my favor. The last I heard, he was couch surfing with a friend in Sacramento. Brianna filed for full custody. She has a decent job now, and Max is doing okay.
Still asks about me.
I see him every other weekend. He loves helping me cook pancakes. Sometimes I think about the version of Evan I used to know. The kid who made me a Mother's Day card out of macaroni and construction paper. That version is gone. And the son who replaced him? He forgot who gave him the roof over his head. So I took it back. After I got the house back, I didn't feel relief. Not yet. There was too much damage, and not just to the drywall. The emotional wreckage lingered. I'd spent over a year breaking myself to keep Evan's family afloat. And when I needed just 1 ounce of grace, I got contempt. I kept asking myself, what if I had died during surgery? Would he have just sold my rentals and moved on? I started clearing out the house. There was a dent in the refrigerator, sticky handprints on the windows, and cigarette burns on the garage floor. Evan never smoked growing up. I didn't even know he'd started. A stack of unopened mail sat on the kitchen counter. Final notices, overdrawn accounts, a bounced check from his last attempt to freelance. Evan was falling apart, and he was taking anyone near him down with him. I heard from Brianna, again 2 weeks later. She said Evan had been harassing her, showing up at her job, accusing her of turning Max against him. She filed a restraining order. The judge granted it.
Full year.
And then Evan made his first real mistake. He broke into the house. I had cameras installed, 6 of them, inside and out. It was a Sunday night. I was staying at my place in Modesto, watching TV, when I got the alert. Evan, using an old key, let himself in. He wasn't stealing anything.
Not yet.
He was pacing, talking to himself. He opened the fridge, slammed it shut, walked into Max's old room, sat on the carpet, and started crying. I watched it all, live. Then I called the police. They caught him walking out with a box of DVDs and a small flat screen. He told them he lived there, that it was his house. The officer ran the plates on his car, saw the active judgment, saw the trespass order. He was arrested on the spot. I didn't press charges right away. I needed to think it through. This was still my son, no matter what he'd become. But then, 2 days later, I got a letter from his new lawyer. A counterclaim. Evan was suing me for unlawful eviction, emotional trauma, and undue financial burden. The nerve. That's when something in me snapped for good. I called Carol, my attorney. I'm done giving him chances, I said. Let's take it all the way. She didn't even ask what changed. She just said, good. The court date came fast. Evan looked thinner. He showed up in a wrinkled suit with a cheap briefcase and a public defender. I walked in holding a thick binder of documents. Mortgage receipts. Photos of the house damage. Screenshots of his texts. Video footage from the night he broke in. The judge, a woman maybe in her 60s, asked Evan to explain why he believed he was wrongfully evicted from a property that was never in his name. Evan said I manipulated him, that I used old person tactics to get control of the house, that I ambushed him while he was grieving a job loss. The judge stared at him, expressionless. Then she turned to me. I laid out everything, piece by piece.
Calm.
Steady. I told her how I'd paid over $40,000 of his mortgage, how I'd cooked, cleaned, and babysat while he got back on his feet, how I'd never asked for repayment, how I'd been thrown out like garbage after one missed payment due to surgery. Then I played the security footage, him pacing in my house, opening the fridge, walking through the rooms like a ghost. I paused it where he sat on the floor in Max's room and whispered, "She took everything." I looked right at him. "No," I said. "You gave it away." The judge didn't even take a recess. Judgment upheld. Damages increased to cover legal fees and home repairs. The total was now over $27,000. And the trespassing charge stuck. The court ordered a lien against Evan's bank account. His tax return would go straight to me. His license would be suspended if he didn't comply in 90 days. After the hearing, he followed me to the parking lot. "You think you won?" he said, voice shaking. "You ruined me." I turned, real slow, looked him dead in the eyes.
No, Evan.
"You did that all by yourself." He didn't answer. Just stood there while I got into my car and drove away. That was the last time I saw him in person. He moved out of state a few months later. I heard through Brianna that he tried to start a podcast or something. It failed. He's been couch hopping ever since. She filed for full custody and won. He has to request supervised visits, but he rarely bothers. Max barely mentions him now. As for me, I sold the house. Used part of the money to pay for a long overdue trip to Alaska. Saw the northern lights. Breathed cold air that didn't carry the weight of betrayal. I didn't just take the house back. I took back my dignity. And I'll never give it up again.